More than a decade after 43 students vanished in Mexico, ex-governor arrested, accused of the cover-up. Mexican authorities have arrested the former governor of the southern state, Guerrero, for his alleged involvement in the disappearance of 43 students in 2014. A case that has become a symbol of impunity and state involvement in cartel violence. Federal prosecutors said Thursday that they arrested Ángel Aguirre, Guerrero's former governor, on accusations of concealing evidence to determine the whereabouts of the students. So this is those students, right? That particular group of students. Giant wall, all these pictures. And this guy was covering it up. Who they're going to get to that did that shit, that was responsible for that shit? Who's he going to give up? The former governor belonging to a party that gave rise to Mexico's ruling Morena party is the highest profile arrest in the case to date since the detention of former federal attorney general Jesus Murillo Caram, who is facing criminal charges of forced disappearance, obstruction of justice, and torture. Aguirre governed Guerrero from 2011 until he resigned in October 2014, 1 month after the students disappeared. The disappearance of the students from the Rural Teachers College of Ayotzinapa after they commandeered several buses on their way to a protest shocked Mexico and the international community and continues to fuel outrage as the truth of the case continues to trickle out nearly 12 years later. Give those families an opportunity to step on dude's head. That's justice, no? A public official, he should be allegedly in this movie that I'm writing, stoned in the street, because we don't hold these public officials to standard no more. Not here, not there. According to Mexican authorities, a cartel in Guerrero state city of Iguala attacked the students in collusion with security forces as well as local, state, and federal authorities. That's beyond cartel shit. That's your country. You're in a dictatorship under rule. When it's cartel guys, security forces, federal authorities, state authorities, military, politicians attacking students, the fuck are we doing? As a humanity, we're fucked. Officials were presumably involved by taking part in the crime or concealing it. Ernestina Godoy, the Attorney General of Mexico, stated that 2 testimonies gathered this year indicate that Aguirre not only requested that officials hand over the security camera footage from one of the locations of the attack that night, but also ordered the destruction of any evidence related to the events. Wow. There's too many people involved in that. The Attorney General's office has evidence proving that this order to conceal the evidence was issued directly by the then governor with participation of high-level state officials. So a whole lot of those rats in there. A whole lot of those rats deserve their day. Hit that like button if you have yet to do so. If you've been here more than 5 minutes, we have indeed entertained you. And we've earned it. And we'd appreciate it. Far from being an isolated act or a technical oversight, the concealment of the recording was the result of a malicious operation, deliberately orchestrated from the highest levels of the state executive branch. Godoy did not explain why the testimonies of collaborator and protected witness collected in January and May of 2016, respectively, were obtained more than a decade after the events. She only indicated that when she arrived at the Attorney General's office at the end of last year, she began a reanalysis of the case with the new investigative approach. So it was a cold case that nobody was really looking at. Hours later, the Agustin Pro Juarez Human Rights Center, which represents families, stated in a social media post that neither the students' parents nor their attorneys had been notified of the arrest and that they were unaware of any of the charges. If it is solid and in accordance with the law, the process that is beginning could help settle a debt of justice for the families, the center said. The current federal administration had committed to inform parents first of any developments. Of course they did. A key demand from families for years. They don't give a fuck. They don't care.
We do not care.
For everybody involved, the headline is more important than the job. Clemente Rodriguez, the father of one of the students, recalled that from the beginning, families asked for Aguirre to be investigated. He has to tell everything he knows, he told the Associated Press. After 3 administrations, dozens of arrests, and an investigation plagued by irregularities, Key questions remain unanswered. Well, no shit. That's the job, right? That's what they was trying to do. Cover that shit up. They're under pressure. Cowards. Authorities believe the students were killed, but only bone fragments from 3 of them have been found, and the motive for the attack remains unclear. Although it is believed to have been linked to heroin trafficking in buses to the U.S., operated by the local cartel in collusion with authorities. So what? They got on the wrong buses? That'd be the stupidest fucking shit I've ever heard in my life. The best cover for those buses was to let them ride. Get them at the end. Although it's believed to have been linked to heroin trafficking in buses to the U.S. operated by the local cartel in collusion with authorities. In collusion with authorities. Now that's your government working against you. Your government killed 43 people. 43 of your citizens. On September 26, 2014, students were attacked in a coordinated manner at various locations. In one instant, cameras recorded the moment when security forces stopped one of the buses outside the Palace of Justice, the seat of the courts. But initial official statements claimed that this footage did not exist. Now, the Federal Prosecutor's Office confirms what investigators from the Inter-American Commission of Human Rights denounced years ago, that these recordings were hidden, destroyed to conceal evidence. The administration of former President Andrés Manuel López Obrador, who served from 2018 to 2024, described the Ayotzinapa case as a state crime. During President Citabom's administration, which began in October 2024, the president said that new lines of investigation were reopened, some of which, according to the prosecutor, have led to the arrest of the former governor. Throw them in a room with everybody. Let them interrogate them. Hopefully the families will find peace for their kids. Hopefully. Cartels basically work for the government. They have the cartels doing their dirty work. In Chapo's, there was a mayor that asked him to kill an officer. Mexico don't let it get too far, but so do we. I pray those families get the justice they deserve for the babies. I'm starting to think there's corruption down there in Mexico. You think so? Nah, the government worked for the cartels. Here's the thing. I believe that if they couldn't turn on them. They could turn on them, and when they're done with them, they could serve them up. 43 students. Pablo Vega, he told at the end of 9 years in the MCC, but them buses was loaded with H going to Chicago politicians involved? I don't doubt that. Or what? Chihuahua? So let me ask you something. TJ, explain this to me. You said 43 students. So the buses that the 43 kids were on were loaded with heroin, right? Is that what we're saying? So what happened, bro? The people that rented these buses for these protesters made a mistake? The route was to Chicago with H. Okay. The fuck did that have to do with the 43 students? Oh, so somebody hit their load? I'm so confused about this story. I gotta dig into this story. Protesting, got on the bus they didn't know H was in. Dude Pablo in Chicago told them get rid of them before they tell, but the DEA already had the phones tapped and still couldn't save them. Here's my question. Okay, wait a minute. It says they commandeered the buses. What is the definition of commandeered? That sounds like I stole that shit. So that was their protest? Their protest was taking the bus? Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Yeah, but they commandeered buses. The students were on their way to participate in a march for students that Mexico killed back in 1968. The fucking irony of that is bananas. Crazy shit. Wow. Commandeered is the past tense and past participle of the verb commandeer, which means to officially take control or possession of private property, vehicles, or buildings by force, authority, or for military use. Okay, now this is making more sense to me. You know me, my thought goes A, B, C, D. Why were they on the buses? Okay, where did they get the buses? Did they rent the buses? Did they get it from a legitimate business? Now I know where they got the buses. The buses were commandeered. They took that shit. What luck you commandeer those buses. September 26, 43 male students, rural teachers, college in Guerrero, Mexico were forcibly abducted and vanished in the city of Iguala. They were targeted by corrupt municipal police working in collusion with local drug cartels and security forces. What happened that night? The students commandeered buses to travel to Mexico City for an annual protest. The attack, Municipal police intercepted and fired on the buses, killing 6 people, including 3 students, and injuring many others. The disappearance. The police arrested 43 students and handed them over to the Guerrero Unidos drug cartel. Investigation and cover-up. The historic truth. The initial government narrative claimed the cartel killed students, burned their bodies at a rubbish dump, and threw their ashes in a river. Independent experts and international investigators scientifically disproved this claim. State crime. Successive administrations relabeled the event as state crime due to deep military and federal complicity, as well as the intentional hiding or destruction of evidence and security footage. Current status. Only the remains of 3 students have been positively identified. Ongoing investigations and arrests, including high-level officials and regional figures accused of a cover-up, continue to surface as families demand full accountability. Coño, man. Imagine you're young, full of vigor, you're protesting. Yeah, I'm protesting. I'm going to commandeer a bus. And you done took the dope. Coño, man. They did the protesting without knowing they had H. God damn. They could have kicked them off that bus for commandeering the motherfucker. Bunch of pendejos, get out of here. Walk home. Instead, 43 men, 43 futures, 43 million offspring their family could have generated of good people, botado, thrown out. And the politicians who are supposed to be there for the people, fuck the people. They were traveling on buses and they were stopped. But they weren't just traveling. See, my concern was, how did they get the buses? Now I know, they took them shits. Where they took it from, I don't know. It's a story I gotta delve into. They could have kicked them off and not killed them, especially being kids, but I think they did it to make a point, to be like, they don't touch our buses, but I could be wrong. But it's so fucking dumb, because for them to do that, you just told everybody that your buses got dope in them. You're never using that route again. You're never using them buses again. It's a wrap. Them 43 missing people open up the investigation on your ass. You shit the bed, no? A lot of innocent people die. There's also the case of the Zetas that killed 72 migrants. Jesus Christ. That's why I don't believe the idea that they don't do anything to you if you're not involved. That they do it. If they cross paths with you, there's a likelihood, not even a chance, a likelihood that they're going to do something to you. It's just the way they're wired. Psychopath cult. That's what it is. A place where psychopaths can be themselves freely. That's all that is. Think of how stupid that is, though. Hey, some fucking protesters stole our load. They're gonna tell on us. They're gonna blow our whole operation wide open. How many of them are there? 43. Fuck it. Kill them all. What?
No mommy's wake.
Coño, man.
You can't just exist around these motherfuckers. 43 under 18. Damn, they were that young? Come on, man. That's some coward shit. And it's just a stupid fucking decision. And guess what? Kind of operation you got going that 43 17-year-olds could commandeer your fucking load?